This is my raw voice before processing. I'm speaking normally at my natural distance from the mic. This is my raw voice before processing. I'm speaking normally at my natural distance from the mic.
When you're processing voiceover and you are trying to optimize the sound, one of the biggest mistakes that people can make is to do stuff that's not necessary. You have to know what not to do in some situations, and that's exactly what's happening in today's example. I'll walk you through it. Okay, this is a submission that I have received today. It's captured on an AT4040, that's Audio-Technica Sweetwater AT4040. The AT4040 large diaphragm condenser microphone. I'd put this in the mid-range, kind of mid-level microphone quality condenser mic, and I believe it's only a cardioid condenser pickup pattern. All right, he's going into a Scarlett 2i2 audio interface and capturing this audio on Audacity. And I think it's important to kind of go through these things because I want other people, I want you to see what real life voiceover artists or beginners or professionals are using. I want you to see what equipment they're using and what they're dealing with and what their questions are, which is one of the things we're going to get to here. He says he's recording in a room. It's around 10.3 by 8.8 feet. He's got a full bookcase covering one wall from floor to ceiling. Wooden floors, currently has a thick duvet under the recording space. And he's saying he's still kind of learning the basics. So I would probably say he's in the beginning stages of his voiceover career. But this is really interesting. I went through and listened to the entire submission, and I ask, when you submit your audio to me, I have you answer some questions, and it really gives me an idea of what you're up against, what you're working with, and what you're looking for. And this is a really good example of that. I try to just capture what's in your brain because I want to help you. He's an audiobook narration. He's into character work. He's not new to performance. He also told me that he wants to just really find out if he's doing things the right way. He wants to know if his sound and presentation is being shown in the best light, especially for casting directors. He wants to make sure that what the casting directors are hearing is not distracting. He wants to really know where his audio stands, and that's really great. So I'm going to play for you. I'll start by playing for you just a little piece of the audio submission.
The type of work I feel most connected to is audiobook narration, but also character work. I'm not completely new to performance. I'm new to voice acting, so using this medium to perform. Thanks very much, Lenny. And if there's any more information you need from me beforehand, please let me know. And really looking forward to hearing back from you and hopefully working together. Thanks.
All right, so I'm just going to walk through exactly what I do when I get a submission like this. The first thing I do is make sure that we're peaking at -6. And the reason why I'm doing this is because if he is interested in the custom processing preset that I'm going to create right now for him, the way that I can guarantee that I can get that sound on his machine so he can use it in Audacity is if we're working on the same level, right? So, and that means if I design the custom preset at peaking at -6, if he were to record and peak at -6 on his machine and apply the processing, he's going to get the exact same sound. That's the only way I can kind of guarantee that. So I just normalize this file, which looks pretty consistent. There's some lower stuff when he starts. It's a little bit lower. I'm looking at this visually here. And then, his speech is pretty consistent. The peaks are pretty consistent all the way through. So I had to raise it up 3 dB. I raised the gain on this file 3 decibels to peak at -6. So that's my starting point. And I would suggest that he raises his gain a little bit if he can with the gain knob on his Focusrite 2i2. All right, let's listen to the audio and I'll give you my thoughts on just the raw audio capture.
This is my raw voice before processing. I'm speaking normally at my natural distance from the mic. The reason I decided to submit my audio, specifically to you, was I was looking, around.
Here are my thoughts on the raw audio. In general, it's actually done pretty good. I think the room that he's in, the mic position, this raw audio capture is pretty solid. I would call this pretty stable, meaning that this is what that means. The microphone is being allowed to pick up mostly pure direct voice. I hear some reflections, but not a lot. And I feel like the processing can optimize instead of fix, right? If there were more reflections being picked up by this microphone in this room, in the rotation and position that he's in relative to the walls, we might want to change some of that first before adding the processing. But I'm anticipating here that the processing is actually going to optimize, and I don't hear any huge issues. Now, I do hear a little bit of the room. I do hear a little bit of the noise, but I think we can really optimize this, and I'm going to start with EQ. So I'm going to do my EQ work and examine this, and then I'll stop and kind of explain what I've done.
This is my raw voice before processing. The reason I decided to submit my audio, specifically to you, was I was looking, around your site. I came across your YouTube channel.
I think the main frequency that I'm hearing as far as resonance in this room is around 340, 350. That's the one that's barking at me when I was just listening to the raw audio. And now I've just kind of confirmed that frequency is the one that I'm hearing the most of.
The reason I decided to submit my audio, specifically to you, was I was looking, around your site. I came across your YouTube channel. I had a look on your site. I saw some of the feedback you've got from some clients you've been working with, particularly
when I start EQing, there's one frequency space that might jump out at me, and I'm like, okay, let me fix that, and then I balance it out and listen. And when I balance some of the frequencies, some of the ones that are really louder than others, because I'm looking for balance here to get the clarity. But after I take the big ones out of the way, it kind of reveals some of the smaller ones. So I think the point is to share that it's good to work on the biggest offenders first. This is my process. I work on the biggest offenders first, and then sometimes it reveals some of the little manipulations, the little adjustments that I might make to fine-tune even further. I could be wrong. Let's see what this sounds like. These are the changes I've made, and let's hear the before and after. I've level matched them now, so this meter is before the EQ, this meter is after the EQ, and that's the only thing we're doing is EQing here, and let me show you the difference. I'll start with the raw audio.
This is my raw voice before processing. I'm speaking normally at my natural distance from the mic. This is my raw voice before processing. I'm speaking normally at my natural distance from the mic.
If what I just said about the EQ sounds like a foreign language and you know nothing about EQ, you're like, Lenny, what did you just say? I don't understand what all these buttons and knobs and lines and EQ, this and that. I don't know what that is. It's okay. I have a video training course. It's affordable, it's quick, and it is for beginners and people with some experience. If you want to learn the skill, if you want to learn how to do it, how to use an EQ to improve the sound of your voice recordings, this is the course for you. It's by far one of my most popular training courses, and you will learn the skill. And it's designed for voiceover. So there's a lot of maybe EQ courses out there, but this one is for voice. Check it out. It's on my website. All the details, lennyb.com. Just the EQ adjustments that I've done, I wouldn't say that I'm fixing huge problems in the room. There are some frequency spaces that are more offending, but your room plays a part in the recording. When you are recording in a quiet space, just your voice for dialogue, the room plays a part. If you're in a room and you don't have professional absorption panels all over the room to make your room have zero reflections, some of those reflections are going to bake in. Your microphone picks up everything. It picks up your voice in a room, but it's also going to pick up some of those reflections. So it's all about the ratio. How loud are those reflections versus your pure voice? In general, I would say in this submission, not much. The reflections are pretty tame to begin with. My EQ is balancing the audio further, and I really like what we're getting. So I guess my point here is that the EQ is adjusting the audio enough to balance it. I don't think I would have him change mic position. I think the mic sounds really good. We're getting a really good balanced sound after these EQ adjustments. Let's keep going. I think noise now, or the background noise, is the next hurdle that I want to see what we could work on. And I'm going to use the expander gate here in my Sheps Omni channel to address it. Okay, I've gone through and I've done further processing, compression, EQ, a little bit of de-essing, added some saturation. But I think, generally this sounds really good. I think for if he is where he says he is in a kind of a beginning space and he's just putting things together, figuring it out, he's in a pretty good position. Now, that doesn't happen very often. I've heard or noticed both situations. Sometimes people don't know anything about the equipment. They don't know what they're doing. They set up their mic in the room and it sounds pretty good. Then there's people that, they research the right microphone. They've got some acoustics. They position things, and just where they're starting, it's like, this is not sounding right. And that is really normal. I think that's what happens. Sometimes you just kind of get that kiss of luck and it works out and it sounds great. And I think this might be one of those situations. And sometimes even if you try everything, it doesn't sound quite right. And that's when I can help you examine things and go deeper. But I would say in general, he has capable gear. He has a capable raw sound. And I would say that he's a really good candidate for a custom processing preset. And I'm going to play you before and after the whole custom setting that I've created. And I'm going to send this example to him. I haven't done that yet at the time that I'm recording this video, but I'm going to give him my feedback and say, hey, I think you're in a good space for this. Listen to the difference between the raw and unprocessed. Does this feel good to you? And we can modify and fine-tune things and adjust things because I want him to love this sound. This is what a custom processing is going to offer this particular person. It's going to offer him confidence. I'm going to be able to say, by me reviewing it, I can say, hey, look, you're up to par. If a casting director or somebody that's listening to your audition rejects you, it's not because of the sound, especially with this custom processing preset. You sound really good. There's nothing here offending, in my opinion, as an audio engineer and somebody who does this type of work. Now, let me play it for you, and then I've got a couple other questions. So let's play the before and after, totally raw, and then with my custom processing preset that I just designed engaged. We'll start with everything off.
This is my raw voice before processing. I'm speaking normally at my natural distance from the mic. This is my raw voice before processing. I'm speaking normally at my natural distance from the mic.
This is my interpretation of what I think sounds good and what I believe can help him. It sounds balanced to me. I've actually added a de-reverb plugin just to remove a little bit more of that echo and tighten things up. We've got the F6, the Waves F6 parametric EQ, which is what I worked on first, and then the Sheps Omnichannel. These are my favorite plugins. If you can't do it with them, then there's probably something happening in the room. I think this has a nice balanced, clear, authentic sound. I can do the exact same thing for you. If you send me some raw audio, I will examine it. I'll listen to the raw audio and see if there are things that we can do to improve the raw capture first, if it's limiting the processing from sounding good. Or I'm going to do exactly what I did here, go through, process it, and then send you a free example of what that processing sounds like with my little custom chain. This way you can hear what the difference sounds like between my processing and the raw file, and you can see if it's an optimization. You can compare the processing that you're doing or the processing that you have now on your voice and see if that's an improvement. Either way, it's clarity. It gives you kind of like, okay, I have a third-party example to compare things to. And, I'm open to answering questions. And really, the whole goal here is I want to help you improve and feel more confident. Go to my website. It's lennyb.com. This is one of the major things that I do for my clients. I work with people at every single level. So if you're just a beginner, that's cool. If you are totally a pro and you just want to fine-tune things and see if we can improve your audio even further, bring it. lennyb.com. There's a red button at the top of the site on the homepage. Click that red button, follow the real easy instructions, and I will take a listen and show you where I think you stand. So to really recap here, I believe in this audio recording for voice, there's not huge issues that we need to deal with. So I think it's really smart to understand what not to do. We don't want to push things too hard. All of the processing that I've done, maybe except for the beginning where I've taken one of the harsh frequency, the first frequency band of the EQ that I pressed down, that kind of did most of the work. Everything else was kind of finagling and moving things around. I don't think he needs a new mic. I don't think he should change anything in the room. I believe that the processing sounds natural. It sounds like his voice. It sounds like his microphone. That's what I would expect from that microphone. It sounds like we can remove most of the room and he is able to perform and do his voiceover, tell his story, share the emotion of the story, and do it well enough to where the audio or the processing or the sound of the recording disappears, and you just kind of get that conduit from person to person. I believe the custom processing that I've put together does that, and I don't think there are any major changes that need to be done. That's my assessment of this one.